Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Charles E. Smith Center on the campus of the George Washington University. It's the GW annual Pink Meet here in our nation's capital as GW gets ready to welcome Temple, Yale, and UNC. This should be a great quad meet on this Friday evening. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Kevin Kopp. We'll have 4 teams competing on 4 events and promises to be a really exciting preview of where things stand for 3 teams that all have aspirations of an Eagle Championship, and Yale out of the GEC will compete for a conference title at that level as well. We're about a month into the season, and we have about a month until the conference championship. So for all intents and purposes, the home stretch of the season starts now, and as the teams get ready to be introduced, we'll turn it over to the public address as we'll welcome Temple, Yale, UNC, and the host, George Washington team this evening.
Madison Durunda.
Lady Hubbard, Sarah Stallings, Maddie Brooks, Emily Johnson, Hannah Stallings, Chloe Mattino, Angelina Hogan, Summer Rusky, Charlie Bader, Reese DeHaan, Nina Rose Sexton, Serena Wetherland. The captains for Temple and the head coach of the Gals is Josh Wilson. He's assisted by Hillary Steele and Sophia Henry. Next up, the Yale Bulldogs. Hannah Strauss, Nadia Bruton, Alexa Nerzowitz, Megan Ruick, Ryan Neese, Sherry Wall, Oren Abdal, Emma Maji, Amy Touch, Reagan Walker, Gigi Sabatini, Mary Donovan, Claire Hugh, Caitlin Henry, Sarah Wilson, Lauren Holt, and Maxie Clement. The head coach of the Bulldogs is Andrew Leaks, assisted by Laura Burns. Next up, the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. Brent King, Kyle Bowles, Paige Rachel, Amy Wozniak, Jenna Ashton, Allie Benagoza, Julia Miller, Laura Miller, Isabel Schaefer, Taylor Schultz, Kathy Schufer, Kate Green, Allie Vanessa, Jamie Shearer, Corey Shimahara, Elizabeth Colton, Drew Greenlaw, Anna Ball, Sophie Silverstein, Tyler Thompson, and Jay Wild. The head coach of the Tar Heels, Dana Laurenti, assisted by Mary Case Bennett and Emily Hubley. And now it's time to welcome your George Washington University Colonial Gymnastics team. First up, your GW first years. Introducing GW sophomores. Next up, your George Washington Juniors. And last but not least, your George Washington Seniors. Senior from Omaha, Nebraska, making the international affairs, running Colorado. Finally, senior from Boulder, Colorado, majoring in chemistry, Laura Houston. The head coach of GW Gymnastics equals Margie Cunningham, assisted by Stephanie Morrell, Kelsey Gregory, and Justin Watson. Today's meet is dedicated to all the men and women who have been touched by breast cancer, with the hopes that this devastating disease will one day be cured. If you or a loved one have battled breast cancer, we ask that you please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem. referees, Kelly and Yale. Today's ball officials, Aaron Aragon and Julian Jarvis. Today's uneven bars officials, Diane Grayson and Joanne Luciano. Today's balance team officials, Eileen Shelton and Joanne McKenna. Now today's full exercise officials, Mary Jankowski and Jacqueline Faye.
Move to vault, bars, and finish on beam. The 2-minute transition period about to begin, and then we'll have a 4-minute touch warm-up. So plenty of time to set the scene this evening and get you ready for, as we said, quad meet action. And you'll get a look here at the 4 boxes in the 4 corners of your screen. So we will do our best to bring you as much as we can in terms of scoring and competition order and break down some of these routines, but you can choose your own adventure on the screen, as we'll have UNC there on the top left on floor exercise, Temple on the top right on the uneven bars. We've got GW in the bottom left on vault, and then Yale bottom right on beam. About 90 seconds until the teams will begin their 4-minute touch warm-up, and we'll get the chance to bring you through our projected lineups for each of the 4 teams. And we'll start with George Washington here on their home floor for the 2nd time this season, getting started on vault, which has been far and away their best event. This team has been lights out on vault this season. They're number 18 in the country as you look at our rotation order, with GW proceeding in home order or Olympic order. Vault, bars, beam, floor. UNC starting on floor. They'll move to vault, bars, finish on beam. Yale draws beam first, floor, vault, and finishing on bars. And the Temple Owls begin on bars. They'll proceed to beam, floor, and vault. So that is what we are looking at in the order of our 4 rotations this evening. Everywhere you look, we'll have something going on. And George Washington begins on the event that has, as we said, been far and away their best this season. Number 18 in the country on vault. They've posted a season-high 49-2 on that event, and 49 is kind of the magic number. If you can put together 4 of those, you walk out of here with a team score of 196. UNC, the number 29 team in the nation, is the only team of these 4 to have broken that 196 threshold this evening. Any of the 4 would, I think, gladly sign for that score this evening. So that's something to keep in mind as we proceed through the competition tonight. And the vault lineup for George Washington will begin with Sarah Zoyce, the sophomore, followed by Rachel Katz, Marley York in the 3rd spot, and then Deja Chambliss, the all-arounder, and the 5th year for Margie Foster Cunningham, will begin her night in the all-around in the 4th spot for George Washington. Up 5th will be Kendall Whitman, and then in the anchor spot is senior Hannah Munnelly. For Temple on the uneven bars, they will be led off by senior Madison Brooks, followed by sophomore Madison Durunda. Junior Serena Whalen is 3rd. Hannah Stallings, the sophomore, is 4th. Sarah Stallings, twin sister, is 5th. And then making her debut tonight in the all-around, Temple freshman Ashley Glynn will be in the anchor spot on bars. She has competed vault, bars, and beam this year for Temple. She'll be making her floor debut tonight and will be in the all-around for the first time. Beginning for Yale on balance beam, 1st-year Hannah Strauss will lead off the meet. Pressure position for the 1st year, going first on beam, kind of a make-or-break event for the Yale Bulldogs. She'll be followed by another 1st year. Speaking of underclassmen all-arounders, 1st year Gigi Sabatini will be in the all-around for Yale. She's up 2nd on beam. Claire Q, the sophomore, will be 3rd. Junior Emma Mangia Capri will be 4th. Riley Meeks and Reagan Walker, 2 seniors, in the 5th and 6th spots on beam for Yale. And then finally UNC, who gets the night started on floor exercise. That has been statistically their weakest event this season. We'll dive into that a little further as we go on this evening, but they'll be led off by one of their veterans, a senior Hannah Nam. Junior Kate Green up second. Senior Bree Greenlow will be third. Then two freshmen, Kaya Forbes and Amy Wozniak, in the fourth and fifth spots. And their all-arounder, sophomore Julia Noer, will be in the anchor spot, up sixth for UNC. We also expect to see some exhibitions from these teams. We do not have them listed in our lineups, but we will bring you those as well. They won't count toward the team scores, but each team will have the ability to put out an exhibition routine on each event as we go on this evening. One all-arounder for each team, and they do trend young with the exception of Deja Chambliss, the fifth year, the graduate for George Washington, who is as good as they come in the Eagle. She is the 2022 Eagle Gymnast of the Year. She was an NCAA regional qualifier as an individual in the all-around, and she will be in the all-around for George Washington. And then apart from her, as the fifth year, it's a youth movement in the all-around for the other teams. As we mentioned, Ashley Glynn for Temple makes her all-around debut tonight. First year for Yale, Gigi Sabatini will be in the all-around. And then for UNC, it is a sophomore, Julia Noer. So three underclassmen, and then the fifth year, Deja Chambliss. So we'll keep you up to date on the all-around totals as well. But paramount for these teams is getting a good score, as we noted at the very start of our broadcast. This is basically the start of the second half of the season. We're about a month, a little over a month into the competition season. We're a month away from the postseason, both conference championships. That's the Eagle for George Washington, Temple, and UNC. That's the GEC for Yale. So a month away from when you want to be peaking, and this is really the home stretch for these teams, or the start of the home stretch. And, you know, for Temple, for UNC, and for Yale, you look at the NQS, which is the scoring formula that determines the national rankings, and it places a heavy emphasis on your ability to put up good scores away from home. So this is a road scoring opportunity for those three teams. George Washington, this is obviously a home score for them, but you know, when you've got 4 home meets, as GW does this season, these are the meets that you have to take advantage of, completing on your home floor where you're comfortable in front of your home crowd. You hope to get that scoring lift, and we'll see if GW can do that. They have been very consistent in terms of their scoring this year. They haven't been below a 195, 175 this season, but yet to break into the upper 195s or touch that 196 threshold. And let's see if GW and Margie Foster Cunningham can make that happen tonight. We are finally ready to get this one underway. GW on vault, Temple on bars, Yale on beam, and UNC on floor. And getting the night started on the top right of your screen, senior Madison Brooks for Temple is on the uneven bars. A little short on that last handstand for Brooks. Bail to handstand looks good as she'll go back up to the high bar. Final handstand all the way up, getting ready for her dismount. Giant full immediate double tuck and a stuck landing to begin the evening for the Temple Owls. So a fine beginning for Madison Brooks, who has a season high in her senior year of a 9.775, and we'll see what she can do for Josh Nielsen's team as she gets the Owls underway. And now starting for Yale, bottom right corner of your screen on balance beam is first-year Hannah Strauss, and down the vault runway for GW, Sarah Zoyce, beginning the evening with a very nice and very controlled Yurchenko layout full. Popped up on her toes maybe a little bit on the landing, but very controlled start, and we'll see what GW can do from there. Remember, this is a lights-out George Washington team on vault, and this is really an event that we would expect they will be able to set the pace for the evening, get out to an early lead, and see if they can make it stand up. They did that last year when they hosted the Eagle Championships on this floor, and in a bit of a stunner, GW came out of a very loaded field to win the Eagle Championship. It was their third all-time Eagle Championship under Margie Foster Cunningham, and it's the power of what being on your home floor and your home equipment can do. They had a lights-out meet, and trying to do the same here in their second home meet of the 2023 season. Strauss, the first year, season and career high 9.775, getting ready for her dismount. Handspring back, handspring double full, and a little step on the dismount, but Strauss hits her first routine. As we said, that's a pressure-packed spot in the lineup. Generally like to see a veteran or someone, obviously, that has the trust of the coaches, and Strauss has earned that even as an underclassman. for Yale, and she gets the night started with a hit routine. And now underway, UNC on floor exercise, Hannah Nam, a veteran in the leadoff position. She's in the top left of your screen on floor exercise as she gets things started. A little short landing on that opening pass, double pike. Up second, meanwhile, for Temple on the uneven bars is sophomore Madison Durunda. And we just saw the second vault for George Washington and Rachel Katz. Now this is more like it. Quad meet action. You got basically all 4 events going on at the same time. So you see another good dismount by Temple and Madison Durunda. 2 for 2 hit routines on bars for the Owls. Nam, the senior, season high 9.8. 1.5, punch front full, and just a little shuffle of the feet on that landing. And the first routine of the evening is in the books for Dana Durrani's UNC squad. So good starts all around, and we have a brief moment here to catch our breath. We'll be welcoming Marley York to the competition for George Washington up third. Here she is down the runway. Yurchenko layout full, and again, very good landing for Marley York. Now from our position here, it is very tough to judge distance off the table relative to what we saw in the first 2 routines, first 2 vaults from Zoyce and Katz. But very composed, very controlled vault so far for George Washington. Exactly what you would expect from the number 18 vault team in the country. Up second, meanwhile, on beam. We're going to get another look at the replay here from Marley York. It's a good look at her block off the table, and you see just popping up on those toes as she tries to hang on for that stuck landing. But in control throughout. Up second on beam. Beginning the night in the all-around, Gigi Sabatini, and up third for Temple on the uneven bars is junior Serena Whalen. Whalen a little short on that handstand after the Tkachev. 2 giants, full twisting double back, and again, just a little shuffle of the feet on the landing. And unfortunately, a fall on the beam for Gigi Sabatini. So the first break of the evening here for Yale, after an opening 9.65 from Hannah Strauss. George Washington up fourth. Here's Deja Chambliss beginning her night, and boy, you can see the power and the distance from the table. Even from our angle, you can tell how far back she is on that landing pad. Chambliss has so much power. That is a huge Yurchenko layout full. She's got 9.925 this season. She was the Eagle Vault champion a year ago, and she begins her night in the all-around. Let's take you full screen and get another look at this one. Again, try to picture the Yurchenko full you saw from Marley York, and now look at the height, the power, form in the air, and then Chambliss, you can't really see the landing there, obscured by one of her teammates, but you can see how far back she was. Great power, great block off the table. As she gets her night started, we'll see her in all 4 events. Up on the top left of your screen, up second for UNC on floor exercise is Kate Green. Green is a junior for the Tar Heels, season high 9.85, and up fourth for Temple on the uneven bars is sophomore Hannah Stallings. She's following a 9.8 from Serena Whaling, and unfortunately Stallings comes off on the release move and takes a hard fall. So now Temple with their first break of the night. We saw Yale come off the beam on their second routine, and Temple will now be looking for a few hit routines from Sarah Stallings and Ashley Glynn at the bottom of their lineup. Back on vault, Kendall Wilson, Yurchenko layout full, and you can see with the new directional lines we have, that is a new rule in NCAA gymnastics in 2023. You can see she got herself a bit off center, landed as you're coming over the table to her right. Our left, as we're looking at it, a little bit outside that line, and that is an additional deduction. It's not a neutral deduction. The judges can take it based on the severity of how off center Whitman is here as we get another look. Now this is a different vault, and it's actually the Whitman, It is named for her because she is the first to bring it into competition. Front handspring to front half off. It is a tremendously difficult vault. It's a 10-0 start value, so even with the deduction, she's starting from a higher place than the 9.95 start value for the typical Yurchenko layout full that we've seen. And Whitman's a terrific talent. She brings so much difficulty. She runs 3 E-passes out there on floor. It's just it's fun to see a gymnast pack that much difficulty into her routines, and we'll see what that ends up scoring for Whitman. Not her cleanest effort, but it's a 10-0 vault, and anytime you're competing a skill named after yourself, that is pretty darn impressive. All right, up third on beam is Claire Koo, the sophomore for Yale, looking for a big routine here for the Bulldogs, following a fall from Sabatini. So they're looking to hit the rest of theirs and drop that fall. Meanwhile, finishing up for GW on vault, that is Hannah Munnelly with a Yurchenko tuck full, and a very nice landing there. And now, speaking of pressure routines, we've got Temple over on bars following a fall from her sister. This is Sarah Stallings, good pike Jaeger. Cast over a little bit on that handstand. Up third, meanwhile, for UNC on floor is Bree Greenlow, the senior. Stallings, giant full, immediate double tuck. Little bounce backward on the landing, but Temple will take that following a fall, trying to get back on track. And now one more routine from their freshman all-arounder Ashley Glynn. If she hits, they can drop that 9.05 number from Hannah Stallings off of her fall. So Yale trying to do the same. They'll need to hit 4 more beam routines to drop the earlier fall from Sabatini. Greenlow, meanwhile, getting ready for her second pass. Front through to that front double full, steps to the side. Don't know if she stepped out of bounds. I did not see a flag come up. She may have just kept that front foot inbounds. Good control, and a hit routine on beam for Claire Q as well. So trying to get Yale back in the swing of things on balance beam. We get a moment to look here at Greenlow, the senior, transfer out of William & Mary. Exhibition vault on the bottom left of your screen for GW. That won't count toward the team score, but anytime you get the chance to come out and compete in front of your home crowd, that's a worthwhile experience. As Greenlow finishes up on floor exercise for the Tar Heels. They're now halfway home in their first rotation, 3 down and 3 to go. All right, critical routine now on the uneven bars for Temple. Ashley Glynn looking to hit for the Owls, and if she can, they will drop the earlier fall from Hannah Stallings. Bars and beam have been the 2 best events this year for Temple. They've struggled on the power events, vault and floor, so Josh Nielsen and his squad trying to get off to a good start here. Glynn, handstand. Giant full, immediate double tuck, little hop forward. She delivers the hit that Temple needed. A few form breaks in there, but the Owls avoid the damage, and sometimes that's all it's about in that first rotation. Just don't take any mistakes. Keep yourself in the competition, and you can build from there. So the Owls get 2 hit routines from Sarah Stallings and Ashley Glynn. They'll drop the fall from Hannah Stallings, and they'll live to fight another day as they move to beam, which has been their best event this season. Bree Greenlow scored a 9.775 for the Tar Heels. Scoring on beam has been a little bit slower, and we will await the scores here for Claire Q, and then Emma Mangia-Capri will be up 4th for the Bulldogs. 9.375 was the score for Q, and that will be a score that Yale has to count after the earlier fall from Sabatini. Up 4th for UNC on floor exercises, Kaya Forbes, the tremendous incoming freshman. You get a look at that first pass, full in, back out. Tremendously difficult opening pass. Forbes has gone season and career high 9.9 this season. See back-to-back freshmen here. Forbes, who has been a mainstay in the floor lineup, and she'll be followed by Amy Wozniak. And Forbes just loses a little bit of control on that front layout, front fold, takes an extra couple of steps out of it, stepped out of bounds. So that is a 1/10 neutral deduction that'll be taken at the end of her scoring. And now on beam for Yale is Emma Mangia-Capri. GW and Temple have both concluded their opening rotations. Update you on the scoring when we get a moment here. Forbes, meanwhile, trying to bounce back and finish strong after a little struggle on that middle pass. Here she goes. Double tuck and a very good landing there. Went for the stick and got it. Didn't even need to take that controlled lunge. That's how you bounce back after a little stutter step and an out of bounds on your second pass. Don't leave anything for the judges to take on that third pass. Mangia-Capri, meanwhile, finishes with a gainer piked off the end of the beam. And we now have 2 beam routines left for Yale, 2 floor routines left for UNC here in our opening rotation before we get to the first break of the evening. And we can now update you on some vault scores. Let's start there. Sarah Zoyce began with a 9.825, followed by Rachel Katz, 9.8. Marley York, 9.85. Deja Chambliss, 9.875. That was the high score on vault for GW. Kendall Whitman, a 9.725. That was the score that was dropped. And then Hannah Munnelly, a 9.75 at the anchor position. GW goes 49-1, and they will be very happy about that. Remember, we said 49 is the magic number. You put together 4 49s, that gets you a 196 for the evening. Now, GW would like to bank a little bit extra on vault because that is their best event. They've gone as high as 49-2, but to open here just 1/10 off of your season high score on vault, certainly not a bad position for Margie Foster Cunningham and George Washington to find themselves in. And now the question becomes, can UNC in particular, they're the team best positioned to try to run down that opening 49 score. They've gone as high as 49.350 this year on floor. Statistically, it's been their weakest event, and that's due to just a little bit of inconsistency more than anything else. They've got talented floor workers, and we're going to get to see some of them in the back half of this lineup, and their scores have been building nicely. Hannah Nam opened with a 9.725, Kate Green 9.75, Brianna Greenlow 9.775. We'll get the score momentarily for Kaya Forbes. Remember, it did have a neutral deduction for stepping out. And now for UNC on floor, freshman Amy Wozniak, and on beam for Yale, senior Riley Meeks. 5th competitor out of 6 in the competition lineup for each of these teams. Side aerial for Meeks as we get the first pass for Wozniak. Triple leap combination there from Meeks, throwing in a little bit of extra difficulty. And a gainer pike off the end of the beam. Nicely done by Meeks, who has posted a season-high score of 9.8 here in her senior season, and she'll be followed by Reagan Walker in the anchor position, another veteran for this Yale team. Ooh, and a low landing there by Wozniak. Came in short. And a double back. And able to fight through it and pull out that landing, but she'll have a little deduction coming on that second pass. Wozniak, as Dana Durrani had to change up the floor lineup a little bit. Wozniak gets a crack at the lineup, and in the anchor position on floor, we'll have one more routine coming for sophomore all-arounder Julia Noer, who is one of the best all-around gymnasts in the Eagle, and will be one to keep an eye on here tonight for UNC. Though the way that they're huddled, I'm wondering if they're going to hold Noer out of floor, maybe with 5 hit routines in front of her. We'll monitor that situation here as we await the score for Wozniak, but as we have a moment while we wait for Yale's final competition beam routine, we can update you now on the scores for the Temple Owls on bars. Madison Brooks opened with a very nice 9.775, Madison Durunda 9.6, Serena Whalen 9.8, Hannah Stallings took the fall, 9.05. That was the score that was dropped because they got 2 hit routines from Sarah Stallings, 9.8, and Ashley Glynn with a team best 9.825. It's a 48.8 for Temple on bars. They opened 3/10 behind George Washington at the end of the first rotation, and much like GW, Temple is 1/10 off of their season high bar score, which was a 48.9. So not a bad place for Josh Nielsen's Owls to be as we go back to balance beam now. Up 6th for the Bulldogs is senior Reagan Walker. Walker has been great on this event for so long. Back handspring layout step out. Good full turn. Front aerial into a split jump, just so important to maintain that continuity, get that connection. Good leaps there by Walker. Nice and controlled so far. No major deductions, gearing up for her dismount. Very nicely done, hangs on to a stuck landing, a little fist pump afterwards for Walker. And a great finish to the beam lineup for Yale. A little bit of inconsistency in the middle part of that lineup. They had the fall from Sabatini. That will be the score that is dropped. They do have to carry a 9.375. Didn't get a score from Meeks. We haven't seen that one pop up yet, but the seniors, Meeks and Walker, both deliver good routines there for Yale, and they'll be able to pick it up and keep themselves in the hunt. And we did indeed see Julian Noer scratched on floor exercise, and I don't know if what that portends for the rest of her night in the all-around, or whether it was just to protect her. With 5 hit routines in front of her, they did not need that 6th score. And we'll get an answer soon enough as she's scheduled to be in the all-around, so we'll see what happens on vault. So we will have one more routine left before we take our first break of the evening, and it will belong to Yale, who will have an exhibition beam routine. So this will not count toward the team score. UNC, meanwhile, only goes 5 up, 5 count on floor, so they have to carry their low score of 9.6 for Kaya Forbes, and as a result, they're going to open in 3rd place at the end of one rotation with a 48.525. Scores of 9.6 from Forbes and 9.675 from Wozniak. Probably not as high as Dana Durante would have liked in a perfect world, but 48.525 will keep them in the hunt, and they'll keep it moving. Exhibition beam routine now for Yale, and then the first rotation will officially be in the books. Little balance check on that side aerial. A little hop to the side on the landing, but nicely done in exhibition for the Bulldogs. And with that, the first rotation has come to an end. George Washington on their home floor will grab the lead, the only team to go above 49 in the first rotation. We'll take a break, come back and reset your scores and get ready for rotation number 2 as GW heads to bars next, Temple to beam, Yale to floor, and UNC to vault.
Gymnasts, you now have 2 minutes.
C. Smith Center on the campus of the George Washington University. One rotation in the books in tonight's GW annual Pink Meet, and George Washington on their home floor has the lead at the end of one rotation, and let's look at how they got there. Some replays of GW on vault. This is a great vault team, and they got off to a phenomenal start. Sophomore Sarah Zoyce in the leadoff spot delivered a season-high 9.825, and that really set the tone for the evening. Rachel Katz up second, flaring it out there on that blind landing, and Katz goes 9.8, just a quarter tenth off of her season high. Up third, Marley York. Yurchenko layout full, beautifully clean landing. Almost had that stick, just popped up. Maybe those heels left the mat ever so slightly, but it's a new season high for York, who went 9.85, half a tenth better than her previous season best. Deja Chambliss, the fifth-year all-arounder, reigning vault champion in the Eagle. Huge Yurchenko layout, full, just a half-tenth off of her season best, 9.875. That was the high vault score for GW. Kendall Whitman, this is the Whitman, a vault named for her. It's a front handspring to a front half off, 10.0 start value. Not her cleanest, you could see outside of those directional lines on vault. Little deduction there, took a 9.725. That score was dropped, and then in the anchor spot for GW, Hannah Munnelly, a Yurchenko tuck full, 9.75 to round out a 49.1 scoring performance for GW. So it's 1/10 off of the season high score for Margie Foster Cunningham's GW team, a 49.1, and that puts GW in the lead. They've got the lead by 3/10 over Temple, who opens in second on the uneven bars, UNC in third after floor exercise, and Yale in fourth off of the balance beam, but all 4 teams separated by less than a point at the end of one rotation. We'll take a break, and when we come back, rotation number 2 here from DC as GW heads to bars, Temple to beam, Yale to floor, and UNC to vault. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kopp with you here at the Charles E. Smith Center. Second rotation about to get underway. Folks, we want to remind you that Main Street Bank is the official business bank of George Washington University Athletics. Raise high the buff and blue. Visit mstreetbank.com for more information. But GW is in the lead at the end of one rotation, 49.1 on vault.
Judges, you may now take control of your event.
Now the question for GW becomes, can they keep this up? Vault has been great for them all year. The other 3 events less so. They're 18th in the country on vault, 44th on bars, 38th on beam, and 44th on floor. So can they make up some of that differential here on their last 3 events, bring that up to the level of what they're able to do on vault? That will be the question that we'll begin to answer here in the second rotation. Temple goes to beam, meanwhile, after a very solid performance on bars, 1/10 off of their season high. They go to the event that has been their best this season. Yale goes to floor, which has been their weakest event, and UNC goes to vault. And the big question mark there is the status of Julia Noer, which we will try to get an update on for you as we move on. She was scratched from the floor lineup. Temple beginning on beam, and, well, some real fight there from freshman Amanda Sherman. Nearly came off the beam on that triple series. It's a big form break, but better than taking the 5/10 deduction for the fall. Some real fight, and that's what you need in this opening position. You do not want to begin beam of all events with a fall, and Sherman able to stay on 1 foot and keep things alive here for Temple. Starting with back-to-back freshmen, Sherman and then Glynn, the all-arounder. GW is up on bars with Annalise Silverman, the junior, getting things started. Blind change into a beautiful Pike Yeager, immediate shoot over. Good combination there. Meanwhile, Pike Gainer off the end, stuck landing by Sherman. First vault underway for UNC, that's Kate Green. Stuck landing on the dismount for Annalise Silverman, and that's a great start for GW on bars. Well, if you want to go about answering that question, how are they going to pick things up, or keep things going, I should say, after vault. It's a great way to begin. Silverman had a season-best 9.75. Have to believe that she'll be back in that range, if not above it here. And now getting started on floor exercise for Yale first-year Lauren Halt. So Yale, 2 events in a row, leading off with first years in that opening position as we get a look at the replay on bars from Annalise Silverman. Giant full, immediate double tuck. Hey, you can't see it there, but trust us, folks, it was a stuck landing. No doubt about that one for Silverman. As we come back live, Yale top left of your screen on floor exercise. And the score for Silverman, 9.85, new season high by a 10th. And that's a huge start for George Washington. Up second on bars will be Rachel Katz. Katz shoot over to handstand, good. Back up to the high bar. Second vault, good Yurchenko layout full for freshman Gwen Fink. 2 in the books for UNC on vault. Last handstand, a little arched for Katz, gearing up for her dismount, and a step off to the side. Full twisting double back dismount there for Katz, but a good hit routine. Some form breaks in there, but nothing major. Yale has finished on floor, and Temple up second on being back-to-back freshmen. This is Ashley Glynn, who had the high score for Temple on the uneven bars with a 9.825, continuing her night in the all-around here on balance beam. Back handspring layout, picks that left foot up, so a form break there. Sometimes it's about avoiding those major deductions, which was what Sherman was able to do. And oh, here, unfortunately, Glynn, a big break and has to come off the beam. So a rocky start for Temple on balance beam after a pretty good performance on bars. Major break from Sherman and then a fall from Glynn. Well, third vault complete for UNC. And I do believe that we have had a lineup change here for the Tar Heels, so we'll try to confirm that. Meanwhile, over on bars, a sky-high Tkachev, my goodness, from Deja Chambliss. 5th-year all-arounder for GW. Little short on that handstand. Giant full, immediate double tuck, stuck landing there for Chambliss. A little trouble on that middle handstand in the routine, but that Tkachev, my goodness, it is just out of the gym. She's got so much power. Halfway home on bars. Up second on floor exercise for Yale is Sarah Wilson. UNC up 4th on vault, bottom right of your screen. Good Yurchenko layout full. GW on bars, Hannah Munnelly. For Maloney up to the high bar. Shoot over to handstand. Back up to the high bar, maybe a tiny bit short. Clear hip to handstand. Toe on giant full double tuck. Oh, tried to hang on to that stick. Had to take the step back on the salute. Good effort there. Nice routine loaded with difficulty, and oh no, Temple has gone back-to-back falls on the balance beam. Sarah Stallings, she was actually the one that had to follow the fall on bars from Hannah Stallings. So she's been put in two really difficult positions today, and unfortunately for Temple, this time they are unable to avoid it. Back-to-back falls, and so they will have to count one of those. You could drop one score, but not two. So we go back to vault. Kaya Forbes, the Yurchenko 1.5. So that's the first 10-0 vault we've seen from UNC. That'll start from a 10-0 start value, bringing some extra difficulty. So Noer appears to be scratched tonight for UNC. I believe we had Jay Weil up third for UNC, and then Paige Prejean moved to fourth, and Noer out with Forbes fifth, and we expect to see Lali Dekanoitsa in the anchor spot for UNC. So hope that it is nothing more serious than just some protection and some extra safety there for Noer, because she is the lone all-arounder for UNC and a huge part of the plans for Dana Durante and this 29th ranked Tar Heels team. She is an excellent gymnast, one of the best in the conference. All right, we'll continue over on bars. George Washington, Libby Garfoot, big Ginger, immediate shoot over. Good handstand. Garfoot began her career at Penn. Full in, stuck landing. Wow, what a routine there from Garfoot. Senior has really developed into a terrific bar worker. She's gone 9.875 this season. Back to UNC, Lali Dekanoitsa, big Yurchenko layout full, really trying to hang on for that stick. Dekanoitsa, speaking of gymnasts at or near the top of the eagle, she's a 10-0 threat on a couple of events for Dana Durante's UNC team. Up third on floor exercise for Yale is first-year Hannah Strauss. So UNC has completed their competition lineup on vault. I assume with the scratch to Noer that we will not see an exhibition for Durante and her Tar Heel squad. Temple, meanwhile, trying to recapture some positive feelings after back-to-back falls on beam, and GW just knocking it out on the uneven bars right now. They've got one routine left. It'll be sophomore Maddie McMullen. On the beam now for Temple is sophomore Madison Durunda. And now you really have to be perfect the rest of the way for Temple. You can't let this spiral after back-to-back falls. Durunda, back handspring layout, step out. Well, over on bars now, Tkachev for McMullen. Good second handstand. Toe on handstand into a pack salto. Handstand half pirouette on the low bar. So Yale finishes up their third routine with Strauss. Last handstand there for McMullen. Giants double layout. Oh, just a little hop on the landing and went a little low to catch it. Good hit routine meanwhile for Durunda, which the Owls needed, trying to get back on track. George Washington got the early lead on the vault, is going to be bound and determined not to let these other three teams back into the competition. They put together, I believe when the scoring all comes in, we're going to find one of their best, if not their best bar set of the year. So excellent start here for GW as they're halfway home with two events in the books. McMullen's routine in the anchor spot went 9.775, and in a moment, once all the scores come in, we'll bring you fully up to speed on GW's bars scoring. Meanwhile, on beam for Temple, up fifth, sophomore Hannah Stallings. Well, her sister Sarah picked her up after a fall on bars. Now she's trying to return the favor here after Sarah took a fall on beam. Hannah trying to deliver a hit routine for Temple. Good leap combination there. Up fourth, meanwhile, on floor exercise for Yale is first-year Megan Brook. Oh, and unfortunately took a lunge back and then lost control to tumble backwards. And a step off to the side for Hannah Stallings. So it's been a tough go of it on beam here for Temple. They'll have one routine left. Brooke Donabedian, who has been excellent in the anchor position for Temple, but they're going to suffer a disappointing bar score after a very encouraging start on beam, failing to take advantage of their best event. Well, Brooke over on floor finishes up for Yale. Just got herself into trouble with that pass, tumbled backwards, actually had the tape on the mat get stuck to her. He really battled through it to finish strong after some adversity in the middle of that routine, and not easy to do. Two left for Yale, Riley Meeks and Gigi Sabatini. All right, let's recap those bar scores for you for George Washington. 9.85 to open from Annalise Silverman, 9.85 from Rachel Katz, 9.825 from Deja Chambliss, 9.775 from Hannah Munnelly, 9.875 from Libby Garfoot. That was the high score for GW, and then a 9.775 for Maddie McMullen. It's a 49.175 for GW. New season best. Donabedian, meanwhile, on the beam for Temple. Front aerial, back handspring, very difficult series. And again, you talk about needing to continue that movement very hard when you got all your momentum going forward. You got to shift it backward and do it fluidly, and Donabedian does that as well as anyone. Cat leap, side aerial. Then a little step backward on the landing for Donabedian. So obviously a subdued team celebration for Temple. This was a disappointing effort on beam with a couple of falls, couple of form breaks, and this has been their best event. They went 49-2 very recently, and feeling like this was one that they could use as a springboard into floor and vault to make up some ground where they've struggled on the power events, and now instead they'll be looking for floor and vault to pick things back up as they have ceded some ground. UNC vault scores. Kate Green opened with a 9.775. Gwen Fink, 9.8. They have the original scores there for Prejean and Noer, but I believe that was Weil with a 9.725, Prejean with a 9.775. Kaya Forbes had a 9.85 on that, Yurchenko 1.5, and Lali Dekanoidze a 9.85. So North Carolina goes 49.050, so they're above that 49 mark on vault, half-tenth off of their season high. Again, having to do it without Noah in the lineup. That's a good effort. 9.775 in the anchor spot for Brooke Donabedian. And now we will get an exhibition beam routine for Temple. There's been a judges conference over on floor for Yale, so Yale is way behind right now. They'll get some spotlight to themselves for their final few floor routines. Nice front aerial arabesque combination there. And we are ready to pick things back up on floor with the fifth competitor for Yale, and that is Riley Meeks. Meeks up fifth, and then first-year all-arounder Gigi Sabatini in the anchor spot. Meeks front full, front layout. Meeks with a double pike. A little bit low, but good controlled landing. And a nice finish there to her routine. 1 to go for Yale. All right, we've given you the GW bar scores and the UNC vault scores. Let's catch up on Temple's beam, and it was a tough night for the Owls on the beam. Amanda Sherman led off with a 9.475. Then a fall from Ashley Glynn, a 9.1, which the Owls had to count. Fall from Sarah Stallings, 8.9, which was dropped. Madison Durunda had the high score, 9.8, but the Owls couldn't keep the momentum going from there. Hannah Stallings, who has had a tough start to her evening, a 9.0 that the Owls had to count. And then Brooke Donabedian picked things up in the anchor spot with a 9.775, but it's a 47.150 for Temple on beam. And that's nearly 2 full points. It's over 2 full points below their season high, probably about 2 points below where they wanted to be. So that is unfortunately a massive deficit for the Owls to try to overcome. They will try to work their way back into the competition on floor and vault, but GW has matched a near season high vault with a season high bars, and they are setting a very high pace right now, 98.275. So that's on pace for a mid 196 score for GW. They are 7/10 ahead of UNC, who's in second place right now, 97.575 after floor and vault, though they've got bars and beam, their 2 best events that they'll finish on. So UNC, certainly and particularly on bars where they are 17th in the country, they are really good on the uneven bars. We'll see if they can make up some ground. And now Temple going to find themselves in a scrap with Yale for third. The Owls are at a 95.950. After that disappointing beam, and we'll see as the floor scores come in here for Yale if they can make up enough ground to overtake the Owls and leap into third place as they get ready to head to vault. They're going to need some big numbers. Right now they've got that 9.3 for Megan Brooke, who had that issue on her second pass, But if they can get another hit routine here from Sabatini, they'll be in excellent shape because they opened 9-7-2-5, 9-8-9-8. So they've delivered some big floor scores. Gigi Sabatini, first-year all-arounder, big routine coming here, starting with a double pike. Good controlled lunge back. Good landing, chest up. Big double pike, good start. Finishing up with a Rudy, connecting that into a jump. And a nice job by Sabatini, and Yale will get to go ahead and drop that 9-3, and I'm betting when all is said and done, that could end up being a season best score for Yale on floor, highlighted by a couple of 9-8s in there from Sarah Wilson and Hannah Strauss. So GW is separating themselves from the pack. George Washington clearly in first, 7/10 ahead of the nearest competition. UNC in second, Yale in third, and Temple in fourth after some struggles on beam. 2 rotations down, and we've still got 2 to go. A lot of gymnastics action coming to you from the Charles E. Smith Center. Stick around. Pink Meat continues here from GW as we roll on. And George Washington is in the lead with a score of 98-275. Folks, Metro is a proud sponsor of GW Athletics. Metro's new Silver Line extension at Washington Dulles International Airport is now open. Plan your trip online at www.wmata.com. George Washington's season best score on bars, 49-175.
Rotation 3,
they got
GW
it started with
on the beam,
Annalise Silverman,
Temple
who
on
really
floor,
set the
Yale
tone
on vault,
by going 9-8-5
North Carolina on bars.
with her
Unofficial
opening routine
results
as we get another look
two
here.
rotation.
Full twisting double back, great dismount, and an excellent start. That's a season high by a full 10th, and that was kind of the harbinger of things to come for GW. Coming off of an opening 49-1 on vault, they kept the momentum right there. Rachel Katz up second and followed the 9.85 from Silverman with a 9.85 of her own. That's a season high by a half 10th for Katz. As we get another look at her routine here. Katz finishing up with her dismount after that perfect last handstand. Setting up for it with a double layout and trying to hang on to that stick. Couldn't, but still delivered a season best 9.85. So the bar scores for GW, back-to-back 9.85s from Silverman and Katz, 9.825 from Chambliss, 9.775s from Hannah Munnelly and Maddie McMullen, and Libby Garfoot with a 9.875, the high score on bars. It adds up to a season high, 49.175. We'll take a break. Third rotation on the way. GW to beam, Temple to floor, Yale to vault, and UNC to bars. We're coming back after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kopp with you here inside the Charles E. Smith Center. We are getting ready to start the third rotation of this quad meet, GW Pink Meet, and George Washington will move to beam, Temple to floor, Yale to vault, and UNC to bars. And interestingly, in that second rotation, we really saw the teams separate themselves. There is just eons of space in between first, second, third, and fourth right now. And pretty clear pecking order at the moment. GW's in first. They're 7/10 ahead of UNC, who is in second. UNC, meanwhile, is about 7/10 ahead of Yale, who is in third. And Yale is nearly a full point ahead of Temple, who is in fourth after a very difficult set on beam. But we've still got 2 rotations left of gymnastics. And interestingly, the judges are still huddled around one of the floor tables, and we have not seen a floor score come up for Gigi Sabatini. So right now there's only 4 scores in the book for Yale. So I expect this Yale score, which is right now at 96.825, is going to get revised sharply upward once this conference finishes and we agree on a final score for Sabatini. So meanwhile, Temple's likely to be held up on floor. We're already getting things underway with the Tar Heels on the uneven bars, and this is Jamie Shearer in the leadoff spot for Dana Durani's Tar Heels team. Shearer, good last handstand. 2 Giants, double layout, little hop back on the landing, but a fine start. Now the first vault for Yale. Yurchenko tucked full from Sarah Wilson. And it looks like we may finally have a verdict on that floor routine for Yale as the meet referee makes her way over toward the scorer's table. So we'll see, keep an eye on that situation. Meanwhile, for GW, it's all about keeping this momentum going right now. Season-high bar score. They're looking at putting up a season-high score if they can keep this going. And Sarah Zoyce, fighting through a little form break on her series, had to pick up that left foot, covered it up pretty well, and minimized the deduction. That's good fight by the sophomore Zoyce, who has delivered a 9.875 this year already on beam. Temple getting started on floor with Summer Ruski, getting with an opening double tuck. Very nice start there. Floor has been Temple's weakest event this season, so we'll see what they can do trying to pick it up after a disappointing beam. Zoyce finishing up, round off, double full, little shuffle on the dismount. Nice difficult dismount there, and Zoyce in the opening spot. She does what she's there to do, which is hit the routine for GW, work through a little bit of form there on the back handspring layout series, but covered it up, kept it moving, and now over to bars, Julia Noer. We do get to see her back in the lineup after coming out of floor and vault, delivers that big sky-high Ginger. Full in and a stuck landing. Well, that's what she is capable of delivering for this UNC team. Great to have her back out there. Meanwhile, Summer Ruski finishes up with a very nice third pass for Temple. So the Owls get what they needed in the opening spot on floor. And we did finally get the score for Yale that has bumped their team score up considerably. It's a 9.825 for Gigi Sabatini. They ended up with a 48.875 on vault. You see there a fall, or on floor, a fall on vault from Oren Aviad for Yale. So now Bulldogs, after a very exciting floor score, 48.875, their best of the season. They don't want to give that momentum back here by having to count a fall on vault. So they're going to try to drop that score from Aviad in the second position. 9.675 to open for Zoyce on beam. And if GW can play their cards right, hopefully that is the score that they could drop. Kendall Whitman is up second for GW, season best 9.85. Neat combination there. Up third on the uneven bars for UNC is Gwen Fink, the freshman. Big Jaeger. Short on that second handstand. Good shoot over to handstand. Whitman getting ready for her dismount. Just a little half step forward on the landing. Good stuck landing from Fink. Now this is going to be the battle to watch. Can GW hang on? They've got the lead by 7/10, 98-275. The UNC's 97-575, but UNC can close like a freight train on bars and beam. They're the number 17 bars team in the country. There's a vault from Yale, and unfortunately, big step off to the side. That'll be a sizable deduction for Amy Teich. Stayed on her feet, looked as if she might have come down, but she ended up just taking that big step off to the side, kept it upright, but there will be a major deduction coming there as Yale tries to fight through some struggles here. They're halfway home on vault. Up second for floor. For Temple on floor is Madison Durunda. GW, meanwhile, is open 9-6, 7-5, 9-7 for Zoyce and Whitman. And not bad numbers, but not exactly where they want to be. Up fourth is Elizabeth Colton, and she is one you want to keep an eye on for the Tar Heels. We'll see her on bars and beam. There's a look at the toe point, the extension of that line. It's one of those gymnasts that really makes you take notice anytime she's on there. She casts over here on the handstand. Boy, that's great fight to pull out of that. Big break, then goes into the double tuck. Hops backward on the dismount, so not her best effort. A gritty fight through that one. Didn't come off the bar. A big form break now over on beam. Deja Chambliss, who has started her night in the all-around with a 9.875 and a 9.825. She has a season best 9.825 on beam. Small balance check on that leap combination there. Chambliss getting ready for a dismount. Back handspring, double full, sticks it cold. A lot of difficulty in that dismount, and Chambliss delivers. Great punctuation mark to that routine, and really, I think, gives GW a lift here in the middle of their beam lineup and can hopefully set the table for the back half here of Annalise Silverman, Marley York, and Deanna Sharametta. Back over on vault for Yale, Reagan Walker. We might be one behind there. That is Gigi Sabatini for Yale on vault. Very good, very controlled Yurchenko layout full. Back over on bars is Lali Dekanoitsa. She has a 9.975 this season, so she has come dangerously close to that perfect 10. That's how good she is on this event. Dekanoitsa and Schaefer, the last two. And keep your eye on UNC here, gearing up for her dismount, double layout, hop forward on the landing. So won't get the 10 tonight, but Dekanoitsa delivers a good routine. 1 to go. It will be Isabel Schaefer for the Tar Heels. Over on floor for Temple is Anna Hill, making her collegiate debut in competition on floor. On beam, Annalise Silverman up fourth for George Washington. Back over on vault, Sherry Wong finishing up for Yale. Good leaps there for Silverman as Hill finishes up her first career routine for the Owls. Nice hit floor routine. Deccan Noidson, meanwhile, scored a 9.875 on bars. Side aerial from Silverman. Getting ready for her dismount. A gainer full off the side. Good landing, good finish for Silverman. 2 to go now for GW, Marley York and Deanna Sharametta. And the last competition bars routine now is sophomore Isabel Schaefer for UNC. Trying to build off that 9.875 from Deccan Noidson, deliver what would be the first 9.9 of the night for UNC. Haven't gotten one yet. Big piked Jaeger. Clear hip to handstand. Shoot over to handstand. Back up to the high bar. Good handstand work here by Schaefer, really holding them. Some giants, full in, and just a little stutter step back on the landing. Overall, probably not the cleanest bars that we've seen from UNC this season. Or as we noted earlier, they have been excellent. Season high 49.325. They're number 17 in the country on bars. Not going to get up into those heights. We'll see if they can make up a few tenths and put some pressure on GW as we get ready to head to the final rotation. Up fourth for Temple on floor is freshman Ashley Glynn, the all-arounder. Glynn has begun her night in the all-around, 9.825 on bars, delivered a great bars routine, struggled on beam, fell and took a 9.1. On beam for GW is Marley York, triple series there. Schaefer, meanwhile, finished up with a 9.85 on bars for UNC. So a couple of big numbers. We haven't seen GW get into that 9.8 range yet on beam, so they're going to want to do that with these final 2 routines here and try to keep a sizable lead over the Tar Heels headed to the 4th rotation. York, a little extra balance check on that leap series. As Glynn finishes up for Temple. A round off 1.5 from York. Good landing. Nice finish on the dismount. Worked through some minor issues on the beam. And there will be 1 routine left in competition for GW here in the 3rd rotation, and that will be Deanna Sharametta. Folks, the George Washington University Hospital is the official sports medicine partner of GW Athletics. GW Hospital provides high-quality health care, advanced medical technology, and world-class service to their patients in Washington, D.C. GW, UNC, Yale, and Temple in that order. GW first, UNC second, Yale third, Temple fourth entering this rotation. 9.65 was the score for Marley York. GW certainly has not hit the heights on beam that they did on vault and bars. You've got that ace in the hole as the home team, which is getting to compete on floor in that final rotation, an event that lends itself really well to performing in front of the home crowd. And look at this press handstand mount by Deanna Sharametta. Front aerial, side aerial combination. Again, so difficult. You see she has to keep that foot up, keep the momentum fluid throughout. You need that connection. Over on floor, meanwhile, for Temple, getting started is Renee Shugman, as Sharametta looks to finish up in the anchor spot for George Washington on beam. Just a lot of beautiful beam work here for Sharametta, a freshman who is a huge part of the puzzle here for Margie Foster Cunningham. Great recruit. Has a sister competing at Missouri. Oh no, and unfortunately Sharametta just takes a stumble on the dismount. Had a great routine going, and it just got away from her at the end, and it goes from possibly the high beam score for GW to the score that they're going to have to drop in the blink of an eye. So that is a really disappointing finish there for the freshman Sharametta as we come full screen to pick up the end of the routine for Temple junior Renee Shugman. Shugman double pike. Very good controlled landing there. Nice finish for Shugman, and Temple has had a good bounce back effort here on floor. One routine left, Brooke Donabedian, who is an excellent floor worker for the Owls, season best 9-9, so she'll get to give Temple a chance at a good punctuation mark. Meanwhile, we are about to get an exhibition beam routine for GW, so they are done in competition here in the third rotation. Just need a score for Sharametta, though it unfortunately looks like this is going to be the number that gets dropped, and GW will stay put at a 48.5 on beam. And not a bad number, but certainly not what GW might have hoped for. 9.325 is the score for Sharametta, and that is indeed dropped, as we'll now get an exhibition here for George Washington. Scores on beam, Zoyce 9.675, Whitman 9.7. Chambliss had the high score of 9.8, Silverman 9.675, and York 9.65. Dropped the 9.325 from Sharametta, and a nice ovation from the Temple contingent as Renee Shugman scores a 9.9. That's a new season best for Temple. One routine left for the Owls, and that is Donabedian. Good series there for GW. Back handspring, back handspring, 1.5. A little hop forward. Nice exhibition routine, showing some of that depth in the GW beam lineup. And here is Brooke Donabedian to finish things out. This will be the final competitive routine of our third rotation. Well, folks, we'll catch up on the scoring after this routine is done, but let's just say things have gotten very tight going to the fourth rotation. We are going to have a fabulous finish between UNC and GW here in the home stretch. Meanwhile, Temple trying to put some pressure on Yale and bring themselves back into shouting distance of third place. They'll have a chance to do that after Yale had their share of struggles on vault, 48.275 for the Bulldogs. Donabedian, so great to watch on floor. Front double full, good control. Nice finish, difficult finishing pass for Donabedian. And you can see Temple, I mean, what a difference a rotation makes, how somber they were as a team after floor, and great finish here. Shugman delivered a 9-9, and we'll see what Donna Bedian is able to score. We may have an exhibition for Temple, it looks like, before we officially take our last break before the 4th rotation. Now, George Washington no major mistakes on beam, but not able to put up those reliable 9-7, 9-8 scores that they were able to do in the first 2 events. Meanwhile, the score comes up for Donna Bedian, 9-9-2-5. So the Owls close really strong with a 9-9 from Shugman and a 9-9-2-5 from Donna Bedian. Those are both season best scores for the Owls, so they'll be happy about the performance here on floor. It's going to be a season high score on floor by some margin for Temple. Go figure, after they struggle on beam, their best event this season, they have a season high on floor, which has been statistically their weakest event this year. Now we'll get an exhibition routine for Temple. But meanwhile, back to the chase for first between GW and UNC. UNC goes 49-2-2-5 on bars, highlighted by a 9-9 from Julia Noer. Makes a huge difference getting her back in the lineup, and UNC actually takes the lead by a 1/4 of a tenth. 146-8 for the Tar Heels, 146-7-7-5 for GW. So that's the smallest margin possible in a front double full. Opening pass here for Temple. But UNC makes up that 7/10 deficit. They actually get 7 1/4 tenths back here in the 3rd rotation, and just like that, it's a virtual dead heat between UNC and GW. And things have tightened up pretty considerably between Temple and Yale, though Yale still with a 5/10 lead on Temple for 3rd place. And a really nice exhibition routine there by Temple as well. So the Owls delivered a really nice performance on floor exercise after having their share of struggles on beam. Picked it up with a 49-2-5-0 on floor, shattering their previous season best. They are in 4th, going to the final rotation. Yale in 3rd. GW for the first time tonight looking up. They are a 1/4 of a tenth behind UNC for 1st place. It is going to be a great finish as we go to the 4th rotation here at the Charles E. Smith Center, as George Washington will finish up on floor, Temple on vault, Yale on bars, and UNC on beam. Stick around, folks. We're going to come back and wrap this one up. We'll get you set for the 4th and final rotation here from the nation's capital. Back in just a moment. Here at the Charles E. Smith Center, 4th and final rotation just a few moments away as the touch warm-ups continue here for the 4th rotation. We'll get a look back at some highlights from the 3rd rotation, and unfortunately for the host GW team, not able to continue with exactly the level of success they demonstrated on vault and bars. No big mistakes on beam, no falls, but the scores more in the 9-6, 9-7 range. The high water mark was a 9-8 from Deja Chambliss. Here's Kendall Whitman after an opening 9-6-7-5 from Zoyce. And Whitman goes 9-7. Chambliss had the high score there with a 9-8. And unfortunately, GW wasn't able to build on that in the back half of their lineup. A 9-6-7-5 from Annalise Silverman in the 4th spot for GW. Marley York with a 9-6-5 in the 5th position, and then that set up Deanna Sharametta in the anchor spot. And actually, Sharametta had potentially the best routine going. See that beautiful wolf turn, great difficulty by Sharametta, really impressive freshman who has come out of the gate on fire here for Margie Foster Cunningham's team. Had a beautiful routine going and unfortunately just got away from her at the very end on the dismount. She took a fall there, 9.325, which had to be dropped. Actually a decent exhibition routine for GW, but unfortunately just not able to hit those same heights. And meanwhile, UNC just wore it out on bars, which we knew the Tar Heels would be able to do as the number 17 bars team in the country. They made up 7 1/4 tenths, and GW is in second behind UNC by just 1/4 tenth, the smallest possible margin. We'll see if they can make it up on floor. UNC on beam, mano a mano here in this quad meet for first place. Yale in third, Temple in fourth. We're back with the fourth rotation in just a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kopp with you here at the Charles E. Smith Center. Fourth rotation about to get underway, and boy, is it going to be a great finish. GW looked like they were running away with this one at the midpoint, had a lead of 7 tenths, but UNC makes it all up and then some with a 49.225 on bars. GW goes 48.5 on beam, and those two teams are separated by just 1/4 tenth of a point going into the final rotation. So it is essentially dead even between UNC and GW, with the Tar Heels finishing on beam and George Washington finishing on floor. Temple and Yale in a mini competition of their own effectively for third place. Yale with a 145.675. They are 4 3/4 tenths ahead of Temple, essentially a half point ahead of Temple, with Yale going to bars, which is their best event this season, and Temple going to vault. So, kind of two mini duels to keep an eye on here. Temple trying to run down Yale, and then UNC and GW battling it out. First vaulter down the runway, bottom right of your screen, that's Maddie Brooks for Temple. Yurchenko layout full, and GW getting things started on floor exercise in the top right of your screen. For GW, that is Peyton Lynch, a floor specialist who has gone season best 9.825 this season. Lynch, double tuck, very nice. And you can see this is the second home meet for GW. What a difference it makes to be competing on your home floor. You've got the crowd into it, you've got your team there into it. And Lynch, this is her only moment. She's a floor specialist, so here it is. You get 90 seconds, you're in the leadoff spot. You got to go out there and deliver, and she has helped do that here to get GW started. Meanwhile, got to keep an eye on UNC, and oh, a big break from Hannah Nam on her series. Has to put her hands down on the beam. A 3/10 deduction coming for Nam. Not as bad as a fall, but UNC is going to be feeling the pressure because in a meet this tight, you cannot count a 3/10 deduction and think that you're going to stay ahead of GW on floor, especially after that opening routine from Lynch. Second vaulter complete for Temple. That is Sarah Stallings. Yurchenko layout full for the Owls. Nam finishing up, round off 1.5, good dismount. Those tenths are going to matter, so even after the disappointing break on her series, you got to save every tenth you can the rest of the way. Nam is a senior, capable of doing just that, but ultimately UNC is going to have to drop that score to have a chance. Sarah Wilson is up second for Yale on bars after an opening 9.65 from Oren Aviad. Gigi Sabatini will finish up in the all-around next, followed by Sherry Wong, Reagan Walker, and Caitlin Henry. Up second on floor for GW, it is Kylie Kazmierski. Starting off with a Rudy. Temple halfway home on vault. After Anna Hill, a little low on that Yurchenko layout full. Here's Kazmierski's second pass. Big double tuck. And UNC, meanwhile, opens with a 9.35 from Nam. So that is absolutely the number that the Tar Heels have to drop, which means the pressure is on. They're looking for 5 hit beam routines in a row. Gwen Fink, Hallie Thompson, Elizabeth Colton, Julia Noer, and Taylor Schultz. Good beam lineup for UNC. On the beam now is Gwen Fink. Season best 9.85 as Kazmierski gets ready for her third pass. Front full, excuse me. Little short, little stutter step. Just a minor form deduction there. But 2 hit routines for GW. Charlie Boehner with the Yurchenko layout full for Temple. 4 for 4 on vault for the Owls. Good dismount, little hop back from Gigi Sabatini. That finishes her night in the all-around for Yale. And on the beam in a huge pressure spot for the freshman Gwen Fink. Balance check on that back handspring layout series. Good full turn, no issue there. Front aerial and a break there as well. Back handspring 1.5, and some minor things throughout the routine there for Fink. You know, it's a really tough position to be put in. Here's Mackenzie Aresta for Temple. Another Yurchenko layout full, a little low on the landing. It's a really pressure-packed spot for a freshman. You're following not exactly a fall, but as close to it as you can get, a 9.35. You know that you've got to deliver a hit routine. You're on the road. You're in effectively a tie meet, trading the lead back and forth here with the host team. And you know, Fink maybe a little bit of nerves, just a little tight, few minor checks throughout, but avoided any big mistakes. But it's going to be up to the back half of this UNC lineup to try to pick it up, because GW not giving an inch right now. 9.725 from Kazmierski. And up third is Kendall Whitman. Whitman beginning that beautiful, big, difficult pass. Front handspring double front. Kendall Whitman, 3 E-level passes in this routine. You will not find a more difficult routine at any level in the sport. You watch the SEC on Friday nights, you're not seeing 3 E passes like this. Second one is a double full punch front layout. Temple finishes up with a really nice flared out Yurchenko full from Ashley Glynn. So the Owls will set the number here with them being done competition first. Bars dismount from Sherry Wong for Yale. 2 bars routines left for the Bulldogs. Whitman setting up for her third and final pass, and again, all E's. That's as hard as it gets. Finishing with that front twist. Beautifully done. Nice control, composed. All right. Trying to match that on the beam now for UNC. Senior Hallie Thompson. Thompson, season best 9.825. Exhibition vault there for Temple. Yurchenko layout 1.5. $9.725 meanwhile for Wong on bars. Reagan Walker will be up 5th for Yale. Dismount, round off 1.5. Very nice, stuck landing for Hallie Thompson. UNC and GW go back and forth. Remember, UNC needs to hit their last 5 after the opening 9-3-5 from Nam. They're 2/5 of the way there with Colton, Noer, and Schultz remaining. 9-9, meanwhile, is the score for Kendall Whitman on floor. Now, if GW can do that, they are going to make it very, very difficult for UNC here on the road. And there still are 3 floor routines left, and the next one is from Deja Chambliss, the reigning Eagle Gymnast of the Year, regional qualifier a season ago in 2022. And she'd certainly be a threat to do that. But GW is right on the cusp of that top 36 and getting in as a team. Beautiful double pike, good controlled landing for Chambliss. A lot of power. The key for her is keeping that front foot down. I don't think it slid. Right into her second pass, very low. And she saved that, but lost a lot of amplitude on the connection. Over on beam, Elizabeth Colton up 4th. In 2021, she was an NCAA All-American on beam. Unfortunately, a fall for Yale from Caitlin Henry in the anchor position. So that'll be a bit of an anticlimactic end to the evening for Yale, and they had a really good, oh no, Colton comes off the beam. Just was off-centered on that series. Meanwhile, Chambliss, who had her struggles on that second pass but stayed on her feet, finishes up with a really nice double tuck, and that, in that span of 20 seconds, may be the difference in the meet tonight. UNC is going to have to count either this score from Colton or the 9-3-5 from Nam in the opening spot, whatever is higher. And GW, as long as they don't make any major mistakes, they will be able to come from behind here in the final rotation and seal a win in this quad meet on their home floor. Yale has finished up their night in competition, as has Temple, and the dust will settle on those scores. Yale, believe, had enough of a bar score there to hold off Temple for 3rd place, but we'll verify Colton, just not at all the gymnast you expect to have that mistake in this situation. A senior, as we said, an All-American on this event 2 years ago, and just unfortunately not her night on beam tonight. 2 routines left for the Tar Heels, Julia Noer and Taylor Schultz. You know, even if they can't get the win tonight, they still want to take advantage of the opportunity to get a decent road score, and so we'll see what Dana Durani's team can do. Meanwhile, GW, 2 routines away from putting together a terrific finish here on floor exercise. Deanna Sharametta up 5th. Opening with that front twisting first pass. Round off, 1.5, punch front layout. Very good here by Sharametta. Remember, Sharametta had an excellent beam routine going and took a very uncharacteristic fall, put her hands down on the dismount. Trying to bounce back here. And could effectively seal the victory for GW with 5 hit routines. Nice two-pass routine there by Sharametta. You could see, I think she knew what was at stake. Both for herself wanting to bounce back after that tough beam routine, but delivering a likely victory here for GW. On the beam now for UNC is Julia Noer. Really nice front toss there from Noer. A little trouble on that connection, and you can see that extra balance check from Noer on the leap series. Well, and meanwhile, another 9-9 for GW, a new career high for Sharametta. Noer finishes up with a sky-high round-off 1.5 little hop forward on the landing. And it just either little deductions or major deductions tonight from UNC, and after all that great work on bars, just not able to bring that over with them to beam. They'll have one routine left in competition. That will be Taylor Schultz. And speaking of the last competition routine for George Washington, to finish up, Marley York, the sophomore. Opens with that triple twist. I don't know that she got it all the way around. Might be a 2.5. We'll see what the judges do with it. That triple twist is an E-level first pass, and this GW team, especially on floor, doesn't shy from difficulty. We talked about Kendall Whitman and those 3 E-level passes. You got Marley York, a sophomore, opening with an E. You love to see it. Final pass here for York. 1.5, punch front layout, very nice. GW capping off a season-high score and a quad meet victory here at home. They finish up in style on floor. I mean, the only slight hiccup tonight for GW was on beam, and they didn't even have any mistakes. Just a few wobbles, few balance checks here and there. 48-5. This team is solid. There is no weakness in this GW team. They got it started on vault, and they went 49 or above on 3 of their 4 events tonight. And they may scrape a 196 for the first time this season. We'll see. Taylor Schultz, meanwhile, final competition routine here for UNC on beam. Oh, and unfortunately comes off. Just the disappointment of this evening on beam for UNC. Looked like they had everything going their way, and they're going to finish in some ways feeling a little bit like Temple, which is saying, if only not for that beam, 3 solid events and just done in by the balance beam this evening. Side aerial, back 1.5. Good finish from Schultz, but another fall. UNC will have to count a couple of routines lower than they would have liked, and a disappointing finish for the Tar Heels, but GW in front of their home crowd goes 49 plus on vault, bars, and floor, and finishes up with a resounding victory and a season-high score tonight here at the Charles E. Smith Center. Let's take one final break and come back to wrap this one up. GW gets the victory and their best score of 2023 with a month to go until the Eagle Championships. We're actually going to stay here. We've got an exhibition beam routine for UNC before we take our final break. So we'll wait for the scores to come in here for Taylor Schultz, and then we'll have an exhibition for UNC. And we have the final floor score in, it looks like, for GW, which gives GW a final total tonight of 195.875. Their previous season best score was a 195.550 at Towson. So better that by more than 3/10. Excellent performance here, start to finish, by George Washington. Folks, GW Athletics is excited to announce a new exclusive leadership giving society, the 1732 Circle, to directly impact the experience of GW's student athletes for generations to come. Multi-year commitments to the 1732 Circle will be used to enhance the university's 20 varsity sports, scholarships, facilities, and other initiatives. Join today by visiting gwsports.com. All right, last routine of the night. Won't count toward the team score for UNC. Marley York's final score on floor, by the way, for GW is a 9.775. So George Washington goes 49-1 on floor, and as we said, 195.875. Season high score. UNC is going to take second, Yale third, and Temple fourth. We'll have all the final numbers for you on the other side of our final break. Gainer full off the side, good stuck landing there. A bit of a bittersweet climax for UNC. Good hit exhibition routine, but some difficulties on beam, and forces the Tar Heels to settle for a 194.125 in second. Just 3/4 of a tenth ahead of Yale. Gave it a run for second place tonight. Bulldogs will take third with a 194.050. And Temple fails to crack 194, a 193.975 for the Owls, fourth place in tonight's quad meet. We'll take one final break, come back with your final scores and totals and the presentation of awards here from the Charles E. Smith Center in Washington, D.C. Don't go anywhere. We'll wrap this quad meet up from D.C. when we return. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Coppedy here at the Charles E. Smith Center. Tonight's pink meet is in the books, and GW closes it out in style with a season-high score of 195.875 and gets the quad meet victory. UNC takes second place after a disappointing finish on beam, 194.125 for the Tar Heels. In third, Yale, 194.050, and Temple in fourth, 193.975. GW returns to action Sunday. They will make the trip up I-95 to Philadelphia to take on Temple, NC State, and Penn. That will be Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on ESPN+. And GW returns home Friday, February 24th at 7 o'clock p.m. when they host Western Michigan, Fisk, Ursinus, and Bowling Green. Tickets can be purchased online at gwsports.com/tickets or by calling the box office at 202-99-GWTIX. All right, folks, well, that will do it for my portion of the evening. Stick with us for the presentation of awards. Final scores tonight. GW in first, 195.875. UNC in second, 194.125. Yale in third, 194.050. And Temple in fourth with a score of 193.975. All-around winner tonight, GW's Deja Chambliss with a 39-2 for the full presentation of awards and final official team scores. Stay tuned as we'll get ready to turn it over to the public address here in the Charles E. Smith Center. I'm Kevin Kopp saying so long, everyone, from Washington, D.C., where GW posts a season high and gets the quad meet victory here in their annual pink meet. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.
The scores have been tabulated, and it's time to recognize our champions from tonight's meet. Let's start on vault. We'll recognize the top scores. Please stand when your name is called. Placing second, a four-way tie. Marley York from George Washington at 9.85. Kaya Forbes from North Carolina at 9.85. Lally Dekanoidze from North Carolina at 9.85. And Ashley Glenn from Temple, score of 9.850. Today's vault champion with a score of 9.875 from George Washington University, Deja Chambliss. In first place from Temple with a score of 9.925 on the floor exercise, Brooke Donovan. Now our all-around results. In third place from Yale with an overall score of 37.000, Gigi Sabatini. In second place overall with a score of 38.550 from Temple, Ashley Glenn. Ladies and gentlemen, your all-around champion for tonight's meet from George Washington University with a score of 39.200, Deja Chambliss. And now, your overall team results from tonight's meet. In fourth place with an overall score of 193.975, Temple University. In third place with an overall score of 194.050, Yale. In second place with an overall score of 194.125, the University of North Carolina. And today's meet champion with a score of 195.875, George Washington University.
Thank you so much for attending tonight's meet. Please have a safe drive home. We'll see you next time, and race high.